Hi guys, you're welcome to another Android programming tutorial video from the stable of Delaware Studios. In this particular tutorial, we're going to cover Android Firebase email and password, login and registration, and the ability to create a user profile page after login. The main focus of this particular application will be the Firebase email and password login, the Firebase sign up and registration page. We're going to have a splash screen. We're going to incorporate all this in a navigation drawer, and we're going to have a profile edit page. So just follow me along as I'm going to explain in details on how to achieve this particular kind of application. So we're going to actually visit the firebase.google.com, which you're actually seeing right on your screen, and we go to the console to create a project and to create an app, and also generate the Google services JSON file. So you click on go to console. You must have a Gmail account before you can go further than this, because this is actually powered by Google. So afterwards, you're going to have this kind of dashboard. To add a project, I have two different projects. Right inside the project, you can create apps in the project. So it's not that each app must have different projects. So for you to have multiple or more than 5, 3, 4 projects in the Firebase, you need to sign up for the pricing platform. But with just the free aspect, you can still create a couple of projects. So right there in Firebase database, I've created a project. If you want to create any project, you click on add a project to create your own project. Probably you've not created anyone. You can say I've reached the project limits for this particular account, but I can create apps in the project. But if you're still new, you get to create this easily. And I'm going to actually move to the project I have, which is Firebase database. Can you notice I have up to 5 projects in this particular database? The name of the project is called Firebase database, and I have up to 5 apps, which are Android apps. So you can actually have iOS, you can have Android, you can even have the web app. So right inside the project that you create, you're going to add another app. This process is quite easy. You can have iOS, Android, and web. If you are adding Android, you click on Android, and you're going to fill in the package name, that is the reverse domain of your application. And you can either fill in the app nickname, and this certificates SHA1 the box signing certificate is optional. So you can also fill in that if you need to use the Google login and use some authentication, which is predominantly to the Google product. So after that, you'll be forwarded to download a config file. That file is very important. This file is going to be added in the root directory of your application, and you finish up by adding the Firebase SDK. I've actually created this a particular app for this particular project, which I call com.studios.firebase login. This is it over here. So you're going to look at the settings of this particular app, and you'll be able to use it. You can see that's its own unique details. So that's just it. But right there, we need to do some configuration, which will actually come in different formats. We first of all download the JSON, which I've actually done, and we're going to set up the Firebase database. So I'm going to click on database. Just look along as I'm actually creating this. You have a Firebase database, and you move to the rules. This is for the project. This project actually takes a reference to all Android or all iOS app right inside the project structure. So you have to do it on the project level. Now I'm going to modify this to be true, the read and write, so that we can be able to use the database. So I'm going to type true, and for the write, I'm going to type true as well. That's this way. Now I need to publish to make this saved right there. Your security rules are defined as public. Anyone can read and write to your database. Yes, just leave it that way, because this is for a demo purpose. It's fine, accept it this way. So after we might have created the rules, we need to enable Firebase email and password. So let's go to the authentication. definitely I have actually authenticate something, but we'll go into the sign-in method. You must actually enable this aspect, the email password. Now, if you want to use the Google login, the Facebook login, Twitter, GitHub, and even the APIs, you can enable those ones. But for this particular tutorial, we only need the email and password to be enabled, which I've done. If this is disabled, try to enable it. So afterwards, we can actually just move past there and let us create our project. So from here, I'll be going to Android Studio. We have the structure. Now I'm going to create a new Android project, which is actually going to be in line with my particular, let me see, our project. Back to the database. Now it's going to actually bear this domain com.delarestudios.firebase login. So it must actually bear the domain you're using. Please take note of that. So I'm going straight to start a new Android Studio project. I'm going to call it Firebase login. So com.delarestudios.firebase login. So it should be in line with this particular one. That's fine. And now I need it saved in the Android Studio projects. Sits right there at my home over there. What's going on over there? That's fine. Click on next. So I'm going for an empty activity. Click on next. We get to refactor this later on. So finish up. We have the structure of this particular application. So from here, I'm actually going to add the Google services JSON, which is actually going to sit at the app directory. So I'm actually going to do that from the source and move to the home. Android Studio projects. The name is also a unique name I tried to give. I think I gave something of this nature of Firebase login. Fine. In the app directory, I'm going to paste back there my Google services. Can you see this? Google services.json, which I actually extracted while when I downloaded from the Firebase console. That's fine. I'll move back to my project structure, and from here we'll be going to dependencies. We need to add major dependencies, which will be used in the course of this application. Move straight to build Gradle, and we're going to look at the first dependency. We'll be using the Firebase Storage. We'll be using the Firebase Authentication, the Firebase database, the Circle image view. We are actually going to be using Glide as well. So I'll be specifying the different dependencies we'll be using. Compile, Google, Firebase, storage, 2.0. So I'm actually going to copy this. It's going to be Firebase Authentication, ATH. I'm going to need for Firebase database. What else we're going to need? We're going to need another compile. This time it's going to be comp.tweet SDP Android 1.0.3. I think we have a support. Okay, we're going to introduce the support design. Compile. which is actually for the navigation drawer. Support design 25.1.1. We're going to have the circular image from Android. It's not an Android package. It's going to be D, definitely from Germany, H, D, O, D, and H, O, L. Circle, image view, 1.2.1. Let's have the prompt check. It's for glide. And I think we have, let's have the support design for version 4. So we have the compile, dot Android, so that's fine. So we need to apply plugin, which we're going to do. Say apply plugin, convert Google GMS dot Google services. You need Google services. That's fine. So we're going to sync at this moment. Okay, Google services. Now we need to add that in the class part. That's for the build Gradle, the project session. So we need a class part. I'll point to Google services. That's Google. GMS. Services 3.0.0. That's fine. So try again to have that compiled. So after this, we'll be moving to the rest, which is actually going to be the layout structure of this particular application. But in our drawable, we're going to actually be copying some drawable files, which is like the background, because we'll be talking about the splash screen. We're going to have logo, we're going to have a profile image. So let me quickly bring them in before that finishes. I'm going to the pictures. I think I have them saved somewhere in this folder. So we just have just background, a logo, and a profile image. So I'm actually going to bring them in, copy them back. So now I'll be moving to the rest. In the drawable, paste them right inside there. So paste. That's fine. We're still going to be talking about some of the vector graphics that we used, which is actually the border, the line divider, and some of it. No problem. We can easily move on to what we have: the camera, the gallery, and so on. but we'll talk about the layout immediately. It's now available during indexing. That's fine. So let me get to do that now. So paste this. That's fine. I have it set. Back to the layout. Now I have the activity main, which is the launcher UI of this application. So I'm actually going to start coding from there. The activity main, let's get to look at that. We have our preview by the side, and we got to work. So now we have a relative layout. I'm going to take away this text view. Actually, don't need the other one text view. Match parent. Now I'm going to call the background, which will actually sit inside here. Now it's called Android background. Drawable. So we use the beach as a background that we need. Just this. So saying that, that's fine. So from here we'll be talking about the login page, the profile, the sign up, and so on. So let's create the login page, which will be new layout resource file as activity login. This way, activity login. So the text is going to be a relative layout. Just change this line, relative. Let me bring this down. That's fine. Match parent. We're going to have a padding around, called Android padding, which is actually dimension 16 SDP over there, and the context, tools context. Android Studios. Firebase login. Talk about the login activity. We haven't created that anyway, but definitely we're going to get there. Activity. So we need to import this to context. That's cool. So now let's have other aspect of the structure. Let's have the image view. Layout with an edge, wrap content. Going to have Android ID. Color logo. We're going to have layout with an edge. We have that. The layout center horizontal. We're going to have layout, align parent up, Android, layout margin top, dimension 32. SDP. I'm going to have the source. Logo. Have the source. After this, we're going to have text view. This text view, we're going to have the error. Now the layout tonight. Our content. Let's have an ID. Login error. parent left. Right. Parent start. Android. Layout below. Just stay below the logo. Android. Text color. So that's color. Now the color settings. Android. Text. Add text source to the string by going to go straight to the string. Something of this nature, no text. So I'm actually going straight to the string, writing the values. String. That's XML. So we actually going to be list of strings here. So I'm actually going to give it a pause. So get back to see this. So I've actually populated the string values. So you can get to look at that. I'll actually share the source code. So from here we'll go back to the activity login to get continued. So we have the string no text. So from here we'll move on with the padding and so on. So let's go on. We have Android padding. About we need to go for the dimension 8SDP. We have Android layout margin tab, looking for 56 SDP. That's fine. So now we're going to have an edit text and button and also a text view. So let's quickly look at the first edit text. Text. I'm trying to reduce this since we have the text set, match parent and wrap content. We're going to have an ID or email. That's for the email field. Int, I'm going to int. So this is actually going to come from the string. But we're going to make reference to the email in. That's fine. We have Android input type, text, email address. Of maximum ranks, just one. Padding. We're going to use the 12 SP. And we're going to have the background, which is calling at drawable. We're going to have a bottom border. We get to create that right in the drawable, so that takes us down to the drawable files. I'll be creating a couple of drawable details here. Let's first of all have the border, the bottom border. So change this to shape. Now right inside the shape, without a stroke, it's an Android width. 1DP. We're going to have Android color, which is going to call out color. We have color divider. So let's get to look at that. I'm going to do the colors XML. So move to the colors XML. Now we can add some specific colors. Color name. We have the color white. That's for white. It's going to be FFF. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We get our another one. Color name. Black. That's going to be 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another color. I'm going to call this color mild. I'm going to attach 9, D9C, and C. Let's have the color divider. Is 6. That's fine. Back to the bottom divider. So from here we continue with our coding. Now we're going to have for shape solid, Android color. Now we're going to code this, which is going to be 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's show this. And now we're going to have Android pattern left. So for this. Android padding top. So we're gonna have padding. You can get to change the color later on. Android left. Android top. That's cool. We have it set appropriately. We can easily move back to activate the login. But before I go back to activate the login, I'm actually going to create other drawable files that we need here. We need the line divider. We need the side navbar. So let's actually create them so that we can easily make reference to them. Line divider. So this also is shape. Now we need to make this Android shape a rectangle. Specify that there. And let's have the size. Android width 1dp. Right, 1dp. Let's have a solid. insect. Now let's look at the site nav. Another drawable source file for the site nav. It's also going to take the shape. And we need to also have Android shape. Rectangle. This time we're going to have a gradient. Android angle 135. So the gradient will come from this angle. Android center color hash for C A F50 Android end color hash 2 E 7D 2 and the color. Now we have start color hash 8 C 784. So type should be linear. Cool. So from here we're going to actually create our vector graphics. So don't forget we need vectors. Now I'm going to go to new vector assets to create them. First we're going to need a menu camera to choose. I just import random ones. The image, we're going to have this camera. Click on OK. You can easily change the size, but later on we can do that. Click on next. Click on finish. We're going to bring another one, vector assets. We need this is how to bring in material icons. We need these tools. So I'm saying there, clicking on them, the build lag. Let's bring in some other ones. We're going to need a send, we're going to need a share. Go to image. Still going to need this. We can bring in this photo library. Finish up. Now we're going to need like 2 more. Let's go back to image. Let's see for slideshow. We need for slideshow. So here I can see one good one for slideshow. Let's pick this for slideshow. And we need one more. We're going to need for send, it should be share, yeah, share. New durable, new vector assets. Now for send, that should be for communication. Alright, let's toggle notification. Action. Send button. We go to all to search for that. There we go. Next. So that finishes the drawable, which we'll be adding. From there, we'll be going back to the login to actually finish up. So we'll be going back to our XML file. Let's continue with the edit text. After the background, we need to add a text color. So let's do that. Android text color. So that's actually going to point out the color, and we have color black as the text color. Color black. We're actually going to create a layout below, so it should actually sit below the logo. Should be the ID, login error. That's fine. And we're going to have the layout center horizontal. Set to true. And we're going to have layout margin top. Call the dimension HSDP. And let's have Android single line. Set that to true as well. That's cool. So we're going to have another edit text, which will actually be for the password. So let me just copy this. Make amends. So this time I'll be changing the ID to password. Match period and wrap content for the with and height. And the string now will be calling the password in. After setting the string XML. We're actually going to have the maximum line as FSP, text color black, and the layout below now is going to be below the email. That's fine. Just this way. So we're going to have a button that will actually be for the login. Let's create that button. Collapse this. This. So we have the button. Now we're saying layout with an height, match parents, and wrap content. And we're going to actually give an ID. Let's give a login button. We're going to make it below, layout below. It's actually going to sit below the password. So let's assign the center horizontal to true. And text color. Color white. Also give text. So what will be the text? Let's make it called a string. And the stem is going to be login button over there. So the text on it, and we're going to add the padding. Android padding. Bottom. Let's call 16 SDP. Dimension. And afterwards, add a text star. Text style. Let's make that bold so that it will be quite visible. And we're going to add Android background. Call the color primary dark, so that will make that glow. It's fine. And need a margin at the top. Layout margin tab. Let's call it HSDP dimension. So give a bit of space at the top. That's fine. So after this, we're going to have a text view. Just collapse this so our space to work with. Now we'll call it text view. Send layout with an id wrap content. Now we're going to have an ID. ID. Call that register. Android layout margin top. 24. Let's give it 24 ZP. Android text color. Color primary dark. And what kind of text are we going to have there? Let's give it call the string. Give it a sign in. Let's sign up. It's right there. And we're going to actually make it below. Layout below the login button. And we're going to centralize it. Layout, center horizontal, true. It's fine. We have that set to sign up. If you haven't signed up, please do that. That's what that actually means. So from here, we're going to be looking at the sign up page. In a corresponding login, you must have a sign up. So let's create a new layout and let's give it new layout to socks. We give it activity. Sign up. Back to the text. So this time we're going to make this relative layout Android. So let's give a padding Android padding 16 dp. So it's going to be dimension of 16 SDP. Cool. And I'll give it to context. Which will actually be that studios that Firebase login that is going to be the sign up class activity. Let's create that later on anyway. So let's import this. It's fine. So we're going to have an image view. Follows. With the night wrap content, just like what we have with the login. And collapse this image view, copy all this, copy back to the sign up, get that pasted. You get that? So the logo. Now we're going to follow by text view. Do you have any text view that follows? Cool. So the text will be, it's going to be the login error. Just get a copy. It sits below the logo. Is that there? It sits below the logo. And afterwards, we have the edit text, which is actually going to be for the email. We get to look at this. Just copy this for email. Copy that. Compact activity. Paste it right there. That's fine. We we have the int, we have the dimension set appropriately. Sits under the login error. We have another edit text for password. Let's get to copy that as well from the activity login, since they have the same attributes. Instead of just repeating typing, just copy that. Is right there, and you're going to have the button. This button will be for the login button, and we're going to have a text view for register. So let's get to copy that as well. Button. Since the logic is Firebase only accepts authentication of username and password if you will need to save other fields like probably the age of the user, the location. You need to do that. That's what we're trying to do now, but we're going to make an update, so that all these will actually be done after you might have logged in and you get to update your account. So you'll be able to pass in other data, and this will be stored in the Firebase Storage. So that's how Firebase authentication works. It only takes up the username, the email and password. So after sign up, you can now ask further details from the user so that you can be able to save that, and that will be shown in the profile page. So that's the idea behind this tutorial. Sign up button. I have to change that. Say I have the ID of login button anyways. So let's maintain that. Now we're going to have a text view. I'm still pick up that text view over here. Copy that, come down here, paste this. This is right there. So now this text view will change. That's register fine. Dimension 24SP. So now it's going to change to login instead of sign up to the log in. Now that's fine. So we've actually maintained that. That's the register page, and we're set to move on to other aspect of the code. Because we're going to use navigation drawer, so we have to specify the app bar profile. The profile. We need a profile for the app bar, which is actually going to be for the profile image after the login would have been successful. So we need another layout, which is called app bar, and this is actually going to be a navigation drawer. So we call that app bar profile. So let's code up. Now we're going to call the coordinator layout. I'm going to change this tag to Android support design widget coordinator layout. Let this to be caps coordinator layout. That's fine. Once you have that set, match parents. Now let's make it fit the window. Android fits system windows. True. Now we need to call tools context to be custom studios dot Firebase login dot profile activity. Enter. So we're going to introduce the Android support design widget, ABBA layouts. ABBA we're going to call the Android layout width, match parent, Android layout height, app content. We'll call the theme, which will be at style as the style XML, app theme, and we call the app bar overlay. That's fine. I'll close it right there. So right inside the support design, we need to pass something. But quickly, let's look at the theme. Let's pass in the values for these styles, so that we actually go to the values, the styles XML. We need to pass in some stuff here quickly. First, we call the style name as app theme, no action bar, give an item. First name is going to be window, action bar. Made that false. You should know how to do this by now. Is how to actually specify if you're using an application drawer. You need the app theme, app overlay, you need the pop-up overlay as well. So get to talk about that item name. You're going to have the window, no title to true. Now start. We're going to app bar overlay. We have parent, name, overlay, what we call the app comfort, dark, action bar over there. Close the right there. We're going to have another style, name. This time going to have theme, the pop-up overlay, parent, it's going to be theme, overlay, app components, light. That's fine. Set that right. So we're going back to the app bar profile. Now we have that set. So right inside the app bar layout, we need to create the toolbar. Now we're going to call Android support version 7. There's widgets, toolbar, just this way. There's an ID. Let's give that toolbar. Again, to give a layout with an height, layer width required, match parent. I'm going to give layout height. Let's give this the attributes of the color parameter. No, it's going to be of the action bar size. It's fine. Creating the drawer gradually. We're going to have a background. This time also the attributes of the color primary. And we're going to the app pop-up theme, which will be calling the style app theme pop-up overlay. So let's import this. Alt enter, import that. So we close the right there. Now inside here we're going to include a layout which will actually sit in the layout, and we're going to call it content of the profile. Let's give it a name. Close that right there. We have our closing coordinator layout. So now we need to create this content. It's a content profile. So we're going to create it right inside the layout here. Give it a source file, call it content profile. Hope I spelled it correctly. Content profile. That's fine. So now we're going to make this a relative layout. And we actually going to give an ID, Android ID equals ID. Well, we're going to, let's give it main container wrapper. We're going to give app layout behavior, call string scrolling view behavior. So let's bring this in. Auth enter brings that in, and we need to continue with this. We call it choose context. Should become dirt Firebase login profile activity. So we'll bring that in as well. Auth enter. Never mind, we're still going to create the profile activity. So we're going to call the tools showing at layout about profile. That's fine. So we have the set. Let's go back to the about profile. That should be taken care of. And from here, we need some other XML file. We've created a sign up, we've created the activity, we've created the login, and we're going to actually create the nav header profile. That's still for the recycler view. I said recycler view, that's going to be for the drawer. Call that nav header profile. Now there's going to be that quickly in the linear layout. Let's maintain this. Drop this down, and then we're going to, now the height will be modified because this is going to be for the draw nav. Let's give a specific height. We call the nav. Get to this right in the dimension height. So let's go to the dimension and let's include that. That's right in the values. Dimensions, the diamonds.xml. Now we're going to include the diamond name, and there's going to be nav header vertical spacing. We have that as 16 dB. Instead of hard coding, specify things in the appropriate XMLs and you make reference to them. So this help you if you are editing in a value, just do it once and it affects anywhere that it has been referenced. So we have for the header height, let's give this to 40 dB, and let's give another diamond. It's going to be for the FAB margin. Let's give this 16 dB. So we're going to go back to the nav header profile, and there we go with the height specified. Now we're going to give an Android background, which we call color primary. Let's go. Give Android gravity bottom. We need to give, and we have an orientation already. Let's give Android padding. Padding bottom. This time is going to call the dimensions. I'm going to call activity vertical margin. We have Android padding left. Left. Still going to call the dimensions. This time we're going to call the activity horizontal margin. Still have Android padding right. Still call the dimensions. This time it's going to be activity horizontal margin as well. So our 16 dB. Android padding tab. Activity vertical margin. So we'll give a theme. Art style. Theme. Overlay. Dot add compact dark. That's the theme we're given. Now we're going to introduce the circular image view. So let's introduce that. Call the D. Is layout with night. Wrap content. Wrap content. Now we'll give you layout gravity. Android layout gravity. Center. Android layout margin top. Then let's maintain HTTP, and let's call the source of the drawable. That's drawable. Now smart profile image. You see that? We assign an ID. ID. Circle view. It's fine. So we're gonna have text view. Just have a text view. Layout with night wrap content. Android ID. Let's give text view. Android text size. We're gonna give at diamond 12. Android layout gravity sensor. Android layout margin top. Great. Now we're going to give a text string, country location. That's fine. That's for, it's actually for the country location string, country location, text view. So we're going to give another text view. This is actually going to be layout with night mark wrap content. Let's give Android padding top. Let's give it 10. SDP. Android size. Let's give diamond 16. Try to give some space. Now we're going to give the text Android text string, not country location. It's going to be profile name, and it's actually going to be Android layout gravity sensor, and I'm going to give it text appearance, Android text appearance. Let's call the style. Text appearance. Comfort. That's body. 1. So now we have that set, but I would like this to be above. Just make it above, cut it out above this. Paste it right there. I think it's better that way. So we still have our circular image. That's right, we have that set, and we get to move on. Now we have the navigator. Let's get to look at the profile data list XML. Let's create a profile data list. That's another layout. Layout resource profile data list. Profile data list. Linear layout, that's fine. Let's maintain it. tonight, match parents, the height, the drag content it is. And let's give it padding. It's SDP. And the rotation now, let's make it horizontal. That's fine. So we're going to have a text view. Text view with the height dealt with 0 dp. Let's just say match parent. We have content. And we're going to give an ID. Then we're going to give a padding. Let's give HSDP. Text. Add string. File names. Android. Color, call the color, I'll call the color mild, Android, layout weight 4. Now the text view, style give with match parents, wrap content, let's maintain that. We're going to give an ID. Profile contents. We're going to actually give padding. It's SDP. Let's give a text. We call star. String rather. Call Leroy. Small. 100. Text. Color. That's color. Out, and we can actually give layout width 6. Can you see that? So it stayed displayed in Android Studios. That's fine. We got to move on. So we're going to just create a few more XMLs. We need the fragment profile, the activity edit profile. So let's look at the fragment profile. That's for the profile. Let's create that fragment. The fragment profile. Make this a relative layout. Tools context. Profile. Fragments. That's the class that will be attached to this. Bring this in. We're going to have a linear layout. Layout with height match parent. And the height is going to be at dimension. 30 SDP. So right inside there we'll give an orientation, vertical, Android gravity, sender, Android layout, align parental, true, and Android layout, send horizontal, true. Also have Android background, color primary. That's fine. Now let's have the image, circular image for content. Android layout gravity, sender, Android source, that's drawable, small, for image, Android ID, circle, view. That's fine. Now we're going to have text view. Text view with the night for content. We're going to have an ID. We're going to have country. Text size, its dimension, going to have text color, going to have layout gravity, sender, Android, layout magenta, dimension, just going to have Android text, string, country location. So we have that set right, country location, and we're going to have a profile name. So let me just copy this, just like what we did. I think it's actually going to work in line with what we have somewhere here. Yeah, that's just what it is. Profile data list. So it's a fragment profile. So this is above something of this nature. Now we're going to have Android text color white, make that visible. It's fine. That's all. Our text size, let's give padding tab. We need a padding tab. Padding tab 18, text size. Let's maintain the text size to 16. That's fine. Color white. Family. Content. And let's send an ID. Let's send an ID. Android ID. It's ID. Profile. We need the same ID passed into the navigator. Let's just maintain that one, no problem. So we have that set. From here we'll be moving straight to the Java class. Even if we need to create another XML file, I will make reference to that later on in the tutorial. So let's look at the Java classes that we'll be needing in this particular application. We have the main activity, which is like the launcher, but I'm going to create some packages. So watch me as I create them. We're going to have our adapters. We're going to have Firebase. We're going to have for helper. That's fine. Right there, we're going to have some other classes that we'll be needing. Just create a structure. We're going to have the edit profile activity. Need to create that XML as well. We're going to have Firebase application class. We'll have another class called login activity. The profile activity. We're going to have profile fragment. Sign up. And we're going to have the user profile. So that's fine. So these are the classes we'll be talking about in the second part of this particular video. So please don't go anywhere. Catch me on the second part of this wonderful Firebase login and the profile page, about we'll get to even edit users details. So don't go anywhere. Please subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful time.